Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. My name is Rossa Indriana Prihastini. I am a student from University Maritim Raja Ali Haji Tanjung Pinang. My student ID is 21030500053. And in this video, I want to presentation about my CCU assignment with the title is General American Values. General American values. To understand the political, economic, social, and even personal behavior of any group of people, we must first know the dominant values of their culture, which are passed down from one generation to another through learning. American culture has been enriched by the values and belief systems of virtually every part of the world. Consequently, it is impossible to be comprehensive. Nevertheless, a few selected values are at the core of the American value system. So there are 9 points that I'm going to talk in this video. First is about freedom. Second is individualism. Third is punctuality. Fourth is volunteerism. Fifth is equality. Sixth is informality. Seventh is idealizing what is practical. Eighth is mobility. And the last is progress. So the first thing that I would like to talk about is freedom. Americans commonly regards their society as the freest and best in the world. Americans' understanding of freedom is shaped by the founding fathers' belief that all people are equal and that the role of the government is to protect each person's basic, inalienable rights. The U.S. Constitution's Bill of Rights assures individual rights, including provisions from freedom of speech, press, and religion. No one single group dominates or controls in the U.S. There is a religious diversity. Next, I'm going to talk about individualism. Americans' notion of freedom focuses on the individual, and individualism has strong philosophical roots in America. Thomas Jefferson believed that a free individual identity should be held sacred and that his or her dignity and integrity should not be violated. Individualism, understood not only as self-reliance but also as economic self-sufficiency, has been a central theme in American history. Next, I'm going to talk about punctuality. Punctuality is the characteristic of being able to complete a required task or fulfill an obligation before or at a previously designated time. Punctual is often used synonymously with on time. It is a common misconception that punctual can also, when talking about grammar, mean to be accurate. According to each culture, there is often an understanding about what is considered an acceptable degree of punctuality. In cultures which values punctuality, being late is tantamount to showing disrespect for others' time and may be considered insulting. In such case, punctuality may be enforced by social penalties, for example by excluding low status latecomers from meetings entirely. Such consideration can lead on to considering the value of punctuality in econometrics and to considering the efforts of non-punctuality on others is queuing theory. Next, I'm going to talk about volunteerism. Volunteering is generally considered an altruistic activity and is intended to promote good or improve human quality of life, which in return produces a feeling of self-worth and respect, but no financial gain. Volunteering is also famous for skill development, socialization, and fun. It is also intended to make contacts for possible employment or for a variety of other reasons. Volunteers are highly motivated people workers who organize themselves and others to solve a particular community problem or meet an immediate social need. Rather than waiting for someone else, usually they go to do it. Next, I'm going to talk about equality. The Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal. In many ways, people believe this. We can see equality in such common practice as waiting in line. When we go to the bank, to the post office, or to immigration, we will be asked to take a number and wait, regardless of how important to trivial our need is. We will be treated like everyone else, first come, first serve. Sample of equality. We can also see equality in the classroom. All students are the same in the eyes of professor, and many professors view students, particularly graduate students, as their equals. Professor may ask students to call them by their first names. Next, I'm going to talk about informality. Informality is right understood as idealism in practice or democracy in action, the right of the individual balanced by his responsibilities in the basic unit is the family. Although equality is ignored in some parts of life, it is followed closely in others. For example, people treat one another very informally, even in the presence of great difference in age or social status. This is not a lack of respect. This is the custom in the United States. Next, I'm going to talk about idealizing what is practical. Practical idealization refers to practical human activity in the real world, and hence it has a different character. A theoretical model is a basic for the practical arrangement or experimental system essentially different from the natural environment surrounding them. Many historians believe that most of the beliefs are values which are characteristically American emerged with the context of the frontier experience. Survival in the wilderness was best achieved to robust individualities. Survival experience also explains the American tendency to ideals whatever is practical. In America, what works is what counts. Inventiveness was necessary for survival. This can-do spirit is something Americans are proud of today. They like to think they are a natural born do-it-yourself. Next, I'm going to talk about mobility. As a nation of immigrants, Americans have shared from the beginning the assumption that the practical solution to a problem is to move elsewhere and make a fresh start. Mobility in America is not a sign of aimlessness but optimism. Moving about from place to place is such a common and accepted practice that most Americans take it for granted that they may live in 4 or 5 cities during their lifetime. Americans had to feel that buying a house might immobilize them forever. And the last but not least, I'm going to talk about progress. In this immigrant society, progress is personally measured as family progress over generations. Many Americans can boast that with each succeeding generation since their first ancestor arrived, the family status has improved. Classic American family example. The classic American family saga is all about progress. The great-grandparents work hard and suffer poverty and alienation so that they can provide a good education for their children. The second generation, motivated by the same vision of the future and willingness to work hard and make sacrifice, pass these values to their children. The attainment of this vision of one's grandparent is part of the American dream. So that's all my video is. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.